Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
So here in Kensington, the council, at the very heart of Grenfell Tower's disaster, is meeting behind me. On the agenda, formally approving a new leader and a new chief executive. They'll also debate a petition signed by more than 1,500 people calling for the entire council leadership to resign, claiming there's no confidence in their ability to manage public buildings. We're here outside the town hall. You can see community campaigners have gathered to protest 5 weeks after the tragedy. They're still absolutely furious about what's been going on, and particularly about the lack of help and assistance they've had since the disaster unfolded. Many are still not getting the therapy they've asked for, and of course, almost nobody has actually been rehoused. Our social affairs editor, Jackie Long, has this report.
As life goes on, the legacy of the fire goes beyond the destruction of bricks and mortar. For the people who lived both in and beside the tower, the damage to their lives hard to quantify, but important to make understood.
I went to the Westway, spoke to an NHS volunteer. She asked me to explain everything I saw from the fire from the beginning to the end, and the only thing that she did for me, she gave me a number, she told me to call it, that was it.
17-year-old Rihanna Isaac Levi watched the fire from her flat in the surrounding walkway. She told a public meeting last night she's had to sort out her own counselling. We caught up with Rihanna today.
I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't eating, I wouldn't go out, and I just gave up.
And what do you make of the fact that you have had to do that yourself?
I mean, I think it's disgraceful because a lot of people wouldn't have been in my position to even bring themselves to go there. So if I didn't go there, I'd be a wreck.
And what would you say about the response on other more practical things, like housing, for example?
I was made to believe that, you know, all the survivors from Grenfell Tower had been put in accommodation until yesterday's meeting when I sat next to 6 people that are from Grenfell Tower, escaped, and still have nowhere to go. And that's when I was like, oh my goodness, so really, the housing hasn't been doing what they said they were doing.
But the Grenfell response team say 169 households have now been offered temporary accommodation. 37 have accepted, 11 have been rehoused. Last night was one of many meetings now being held between the authorities and people affected by the fire. The question is, how much are these meetings actually helping to bridge the gap between the two?
What are you, as the council, going to do to ensure that the survivors from Grenfell, the people that had to sit on Latimer Road and watch people fall and jump and cry and lose their family, what are you going to do to support and ensure that we can have trust in you?
It's absolutely clear to me that you've been let down. And you've been let down by statutory and public authorities.
I mean, all I can do is I said what I've said. I hope I've touched him. It looked like I did. And if I really have, then he will start working on something as of today now.
One plea from residents and survivors does appear to have been heeded. The deadline for views on the terms of reference for the public inquiry has been extended a week until August the 4th.
Well, now I'm joined by local resident Thomasina Hessel and by a Justice for Grenfell campaigner who's organised this meeting here, Moira Samuels. Moira, what are you trying to achieve right here at the moment?
I'm trying to have the voice of the local residents who have had to endure years of contempt from this Tory council. And we are demanding that actually their incompetence, their arrogance, their uncaring for the community of Grenfell, because of that they actually remove themselves from the governance of this council.
You live about 300 yards from but you haven't been evacuated yourself.
No.
I mean, are these all local residents or some of them are activists?
No, we have had a lot of support, like we did when the actual fire happened. we had support from the whole of London, and I think the whole of London have come to support us. But a number of local residents here as well.
Well, you are a local resident, Thomasina. You live in the walkway just underneath the tower, and you've been evacuated. And you're in a hotel?
Yes, I am. Until the 1st of September now. It's
Till
been
the 1st
confirmed.
of September?
At least, yeah.
And you've got a baby boy?
I do, yeah, 3-year-old.
Come on, lummy. And what's it done to your work? Presumably it's very difficult to work under these circumstances.
Well, I mean, I wasn't working anyway. I was preparing to return to work, so that's been put on hold. But yes, I do have neighbours that aren't able to go to work. And in fact, people in the wider community that haven't been able to go to work because of the impact this has had.
To what extent, I mean, there have been people put in from Ealing and other places to try and run this aspect of the council, the care for you. How far is that care going?
There's been major issues and challenges. I mean, the communication is still extremely poor. The line of questioning, the way we have to question, we have to write down questions, submit them to the Residents Association, they hand them over to the individuals from the Gold Command, and then they come back with answers, and not even foolproof answers with evidence. So
have you actually been told why you can't go home?
No, they can't tell us why we can't go home, but they also can't tell us that it is safe to go home.
Is that because they actually don't know what the state of your flat is?
Well, I suppose so. I don't know the actual answer. You have to ask them, but they're not willing to give any answers. This is a big part of the problem.
I mean, this business of trust, how you will know to trust them when they say you're fine to go home. How is this going to be resolved? Because you don't trust them.
No, I think the community has lost complete faith and trust in the council and in the Gold Command.
Even these people that have been put in over their heads?
Well, if you look at the meeting last night, as recently as last night, the things we were hearing from both the survivors and the residents indicate that actually a number of basic services have still not been provided 5 weeks after the fire.
Specifically?
Well, people haven't been housed 5 weeks after. People don't have care workers.
Yeah.
They don't have for their children in therapy. People don't have money to buy food, which is shocking, really, given the amount of money that's been donated. So all of these things, and people don't know what's happening to them in their future.
Well, Maura, thank you very much indeed for talking to us, and Thomasina too. Thank you both very warmly. I hope things resolve sooner than you think. So that Kensington to Chelsea Council meeting is still in full flow. Kemi and Zaram is here with the latest. Kemi, well, have they actually managed to do what they came here to do, appoint a new leader and a new chief executive?
Kensington and Chelsea Council have done what they intended, not what the protesters here have wanted. As we've discussed, they wanted a complete resignation of the council, but literally in the last few seconds, Elizabeth Campbell has been elected as the new leader. The Labour lead, Robert Atkinson, tried to get her voted down, but the Tories have got a big majority here. Labour wanted external commissioners brought in. They said Elizabeth Campbell was part of the old regime and had no credibility, really. So Elizabeth Campbell is the new leader. When the residents that were in the meeting heard that, they responded with cries, shouts of "shame on you."
Well, of course, almost as explosive is the appointment of the other person who has to be appointed here.
That's right, the new chief executive, which Barry Quirk is nominated. He was brought in from another London borough, from Lewisham. So, I mean, the politics of that in themselves are reasonably interesting, in that Lewisham, of course, is a Labour dyed-in-the-wool council. Barry Quirk is an official and not a politician, but there are some interesting dynamics there.
Kemi and Zaram.